and welcome back to the podcast with no name. I'm here with two special guests. I got my brother Parker Austin.
Nice to see you guys.
And I'm here with Mr. Ames, Parker's old track coach. How are you doing?
Oh, great. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
That is awesome. So Parker, you have just gotten the Mott School record. So how are you doing today?
Awesome. So it was like a big victory season. So I did pretty good. Then other races got very wet, and I got the flu, and I got really sick, and I almost got the record, but didn't. Then regionals, I got new spikes, and that failed. Then Alabama, I just did it and got the school record in All-American.
So Parker, let's talk a little bit about your high school legacy. How have you been doing, and have you been reflecting on what you've done through high school, becoming homecoming king, having a whole DTV story made after you, your running career?
So what I did, when I graduated high school, I want to continue so impressive. So thanks to you, Ames, Whitman, and Kungar. So I've been training all summer, fall, even winter, in spring. So I bet not just been running, I've been doing workouts and eating the right food for meets and sleep. There has to be way more effort than that, like with action.
Mr. Ames, so you were definitely Parker's coach. You absolutely had a good time with him. Can you recount some of the moments you remember with him?
Oh, there's so many stories I could tell about Parker, but I'll keep this fairly short. I remember when he came into the high school from the middle school, and he was a little bit immature and had done some running, but he really became dedicated in high school. I remember when he was young that he was afraid to go run in the winter. So he would run in the summer and the fall with us and then take the entire winter off because he thought it was too cold to be outside. And he's gotten over that as a fear. But he's one of the hardest workers we've ever had in our program. He always brought a joy to everyone's face. Even today, just seeing him brings a joy to my face. But he's a legend. I told my class that I was coming up here to do a podcast with Parker Austin. And even after a couple of years, everyone knew who Parker was. And they were asking questions, even came up with a name for what the podcast should be. So he's made a huge impact on the lives of our program, us as coaches and the athletes in our program, and the school as a whole. The school will never be the same, and neither will our program because of the impact that Parker's had.
Now, may I ask, what was the name they came up with?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was Austin and Ames, like Austin and Alley. The show that's on.
Wow, that's a good name, right?
Yes.
Oh, I absolutely love that. All right. So, have you ever had to coach someone like Parker that had autism, may have had a hard time fitting in? Have you ever had experience previously before Parker?
I haven't. It was new for me. This is my 24th year of coaching, and I've never had somebody like Parker in many ways. But I would say in some ways it was very easy because Parker had some very good teammates that treated him as an equal. And also when they needed to help Parker in ways that his autism required, they were there to help him. And Parker was a great learner too. Parker learned different things and was willing to accept that we were there to help him. We weren't there to criticize him. But I had to also realize as a coach that there were certain things that I couldn't do with Parker that I did with others. Like I spent many days, weeks, even months trying to help Parker do some of our warm-up drills, and he just wasn't able to do them. And that was okay. That wasn't important. And I realized that he just needed to be coached a little bit differently than some of the others, and he accepted that coaching, and it was a great experience.
That is absolutely amazing. Parker, you've had to grow up with autism your whole life. And it must have been hard living in a neurotypical society. Can you please go in depth a little bit about that?
So I started not know how to talk, then learn at 7 years old how to talk. Then elementary, I was an Ash also. Then high in middle school a little better, but even more better. Middle school, I joined the track team, and I become even 100 times more social. Met like the coolest people in the world. Then I got to high school and it got a little harder, and I was having a little bit of drama at that time. Then even worse, COVID came. Then my detention got bad. But guess what? I will never give up. Then senior year, I become homecoming king, the first ever special need person homecoming king with autism, and that really become changed a lot. And I didn't just out there. When I graduated, I decided to run mountain cross country, and it was awesome. So I got to go to nationals in Florida. Then next year, Alabama, and got the school record. And I'll still continue showing people. And my plan is to train marathons, and my goal is to run the Boston Marathon.
It's amazing that students in this high school were able to see someone like you become homecoming king, someone that had autism that wasn't afraid to be themselves, and that is absolutely amazing. Parker, if someone was watching this podcast and they had autism and they just struggled with that, what would you have to say to them?
Do the same thing that I did, is making friends and being friendly and be funny, and that's how you do it.
Mr. Ames, leading up to the moment where Parker did become homecoming king, how did you feel at that moment when you saw all of Parker's accomplishments just lead up to one of the best moments of his life?
Well, I guess that's a hard question, but I would start by saying I thought it was awesome that he was one of the 5 that was selected to be a candidate. And when Parker found out that, just to see the joy and happiness that he had, that he was recognized by his peers. Quite honestly, I never thought that the whole student body would vote for him to be homecoming king, but I was really hopeful. And that moment when I was out at the stadium and he was called, and I remember Mr. Choyley's voice saying, and this year's homecoming king is Parker Austin. And to see him jumping around and how happy he was, that moment was exciting. But I thought even more exciting was how many of his peers ran to his side and were jumping around with him, hugging him, and how genuinely excited they were. It spoke very highly of Parker as a person and as an individual, and I was so proud of our school that they recognized such a great person and individual that's done so many great things. And as Parker said, it really did change him and opened up avenues. I think it gave him a lot of confidence that his disability wasn't going to hold him back, that he could do anything, and that people thought of him as equals. And I think that opened up doors for him going to Mott and other things going to do with the rest of his life.
Parker, what was it? Do you miss any of your teammates right now, speaking of them?
Yes.
All right, shout them out.
Luke Meyer, Ian Forrest, Eddie Roberts, and a lot more.
That is absolutely amazing.
And I continue talking to them like on Snapchat as how they doing. Not just about myself. I also came to their races and came to support and say congratulations, because it's also good to support their stuff because we're friends too, and not just that, family.
That's absolutely amazing, Parker. So, Parker, you had a whole DTV story made after your name right after you won Homecoming King. Do you remember any of those memories while making it? Do you remember watching it for the first time?
Yes. Like, I remember how, like, we made a lot of cross-country videos and talk about how I struggle. Then we talk about how happy. Then Griffin told me how I joined the middle school team in track.
That's absolutely amazing. Mr. Ames, what was it? Were you had the chance to see the story? What was it like seeing Parker's life just displayed like that, so everyone in the school could see that?
I thought it was so great that DTV took the time to do that. They did such a great job, you guys did, with the story. And just to see, and there were things that were in the story that I didn't know, and I didn't realize some of Parker's background before I was able to get in touch with him in middle school. But just to see the impact and to hear students talk about it and people in the community bring up the story about Parker, it was such a special moment.
Oh, so Parker, you made an absolute amazing time out of your high school life, but moving out of high school, what has it been like running at Mott?
It's pretty fun. So the difference is, instead of doing 5K and 8Ks, so you have more time to think. You don't have to, like, go fast the first 800 meters. You just have to like run smart, and it's a lot different. And I learned from my high school experience how to run. And when you become like adult, you kind of like know that like it's more serious. And not just that, like there's people not just watching you at the meet, but people on social media watching you, and just not just that, watching your own self and like get all the experience from coaches. And it's like it's kind of cool to remake all the stuff you did at high school, and now at mine, like you can even be faster.
Do you feel like you've changed since high school as a person?
Yes. So in high school, I think I learned how to be more social. I also kind of learned when people like who say stuff you don't like, I just don't let it bother me, and I just think of the positive and just like, what I do, just go, right?
I think that's something we all could learn sometimes.
Yeah, I have one quick story to share that speaks to the type of person Parker is and his dedication. I remember back a couple of years ago, we had gotten a huge snowstorm, but Parker really wanted to run. So your dad went out and shoveled a path around the yard so that there would be a path that Parker could safely run and be able to get in his miles. So there is a app for your phone called Strava. And what Strava shows is the time that you've run, the pace, but also the route that you took. And I remember going onto Strava to see what the athletes had done over Christmas break, and I see this post come up, and it's loops and loops and loops. It was like an hour running around a yard, and it just spoke to Parker's dedication and his willingness to do whatever it took to be successful. And that little lesson will go on to help him. Has a good job now where he's thought very highly of when he works at Kroger. It's going to help him in his training as he starts to move on to becoming a professional runner and runs marathons. But it's also going to help him with the rest of his life and whatever he decides to do. That dedication and commitment, whether it's he decides to get married and has a family, or he moves into other jobs and careers, his willingness to give whatever it takes to be successful. And I think very highly of you that you're able to do things like that.
Do you have a response, Parker?
That's pretty awesome. Like running kind of, not just like that, it kind of makes your life more experience, and dreams will come true. Not just being lazy on the couch all day and so you're going to do it. You have to do dedication, like run the yard, for example. Like, you might get a future job or anything, or like a house or anything in the future, or a future job. It takes dedication, not like sit on the couch all day.
100%.
Dedication. Parker, in your future, what are you going to dedicate to?
It'll be kind of cool to find like a trade job and do stuff and run marathons. And my dream is to run the Boston Marathon in Chicago, but my biggest dream is to run the Tokyo Marathon or London or Berlin, but that's really expensive. But I just had a dream, even if it never comes true, it would be kind of cool to travel around the world, and it costs a lot of money, but the best way to do it is qualified.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching. That was the podcast with no name. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
Oh, nice seeing you guys.